It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans down in Tampa for one day of joint practice with the Bucs ahead of their preseason matchup this Saturday. Titans quarterback Cam Ward met with the media after practice and had this to say about what he's learned from joint camp with the Bucs.
It's coming on fast. And especially me with Coach Callahan one-on-one, him letting me know what I can get away with, then also what I can't get away with. And more of it's just the time you get away with it, whether it's third down, whether you're flush out the pocket, you have to make a play. I think that's the biggest adjustment that I'm focused on right now is just really trying to stay above the sticks.
Titans and Bucs face off 6:30 for the preseason opener on Saturday, and you can hear it right here on The Zone starting at 3 o'clock with the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Titans radio coverage begins at 5:30. Titans also made a couple of transactions this morning as the team placed offensive lineman Chandler Brewer on injured reserve and signed defensive end Joe Gaziano. Gaziano finished last season with 3 tackles in 3 games as a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Titans versus Bucs got underway today. It was about 100. It felt like a little bit over 100 degrees by the time practice kicked off down there in Tampa. We'll be joined by Greg Almond of Fox Sports Radio, who covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a long, long time. He'll be able to catch us up with what he saw from the Buccaneers' perspective, how their offseason's going, how it equates to what we heard in camp. I don't know really where I want to start because so many things happened today. Yeah. But I guess let's start here. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is jawing at a fan, telling that fan to come onto the field if he's got something to say. I'm not against what Jarvis Brownlee Jr. did, because the fan obviously said probably something pretty wrong because he was heated. But where are you at on that kind of interaction between players and fans when the fans are really that close to the players on such maybe a heated day?
What do you think?
I'm okay with Jarvis Brownlee Jr.'s side. Listen, I'm okay with a little bit of jawing and stuff like that now. Obviously I don't want him crawling into the stands like a Meta World Peace and getting into brawls or anything. But, I don't know what the fan said. We haven't heard what the fan has said. Now, there was a fan in the video who said that Jarvis Brownlee Jr., back to the practice squad, is what he yelled to Jarvis Brownlee Jr. So that guy, obviously not a ball knower, someone different. But, you're a player. You've been around. I'm sure you've had fans jaw at you at certain times and everything. So I just wondered what it was from the player's perspective. For me, I'm like, I kind of like it. I like a little juice, a little bit of, give back. If you're going to be able to, if a fan can talk crap, I feel like a player should be able to talk crap back.
Yeah, I think, I wasn't big on interacting with players or the fans that were spitting, let's say spitting.
Yeah.
If somebody actually tried to spit on me, I told the police, first and foremost. To me, fans can say whatever they want to say. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to engage with them. That's just not my style. That's just not how, because at the end of the day, I'm the one out here playing. So, hey, if I had a good day, bad day, hey, man, we all, living the same life. You just get to, spit it to my face. But if we were out here on the field, there's no way any of that would be happening. So you just got to just wave at them, give them the hi, bye. That's kind of the only interaction I would give to a fan of opposing teams that were playing their fan base, because I just couldn't engage with them like that. Because, I grew up where words can never hurt you. Mm-hmm. So once you start entertaining it, then you now have let it affect you. So I wasn't entertaining it. That's just how it was going to be.
Yeah, well, that actually bugs people worse.
Worse, right. That's what I say. So then I hence then take control of it, and then they don't. So but I don't know what he said now.
Yeah.
He would have said something, sometimes it could be some sensitive topics that maybe, it could be about his family member who's passed away, you know? I mean, like, that
happened recently at a baseball game.
I could see, so I could see that happening and getting under somebody's skin and like, hey, man, you don't even know me like that. And maybe if somebody did know and did they research and was waiting for that opportunity to do that. So, I don't know, man. Jackson, was you a big talker there with back there in high school, man? I know you did when you was coming out that huddle. You was like, yeah, you want some of this? Come get some of this. Was you saying that?
I would talk more in practice because those were my friends and I love talking. I mean, I still talk.
Yeah, but we're not talking about practice. We talk about in-game against the fans.
Depends how big the guy was.
What?
Blaine, I was about 5'10" until I hit college. I grew 3 inches in college. I'm about 6'1" now. I was 5'10" until college.
Oh, man.
I stopped growing a long time ago.
Well, I mean,
before I even got to college.
Watch this. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, man. Come on, man. You can't use that as why you know. Oh, it depends how big they are. My gosh, man, what a wimpy answer.
In college, there have been probably 10 fights in college, like big brawls at parties and stuff. That always happened after 3 minutes after I left. I missed every college fight. And I feel like that's a little bit of a rite of passage when you were talking about brawls and stuff. But I do want to say this to your point of just ignoring, right? Or like, it's like when someone sends you a really long message and they're either like complaining about you or something like that, and you just throw back K, like the letter K as in okay. Right. Oh, it drives people nuts. And that's my favorite thing to do, is just like when people just go in this big long tirade, just say, okay. Like just don't even let it bother you, for me. But as far as like the spectator, I guess the fan in me, the maybe it's still a little bit of the WWE fan in me, in that I kind of just like it. I like the little bit of talk. And of course, listen.
Right, well, you've been consistent. You would do that as a player if you played, if you're in the fans. I mean, so that's been pretty consistent. Yeah. I would just jab you right in the jaw.
Well, he did. Speaking of, there's a report out there from the
That's what he tried to do.
Well, Buccaneers wide receiver Mika Ibuka lined up as the X receiver, and as he crossed the middle with the ball coming his way, he got laid out in all caps. This is by Pewter Report, the Tampa Bay, by Jarvis Brownlee Jr. This was after that interaction with that fan. So that fan pretty much got Mika Ibuka laid out across the middle. So that seems like a good way to maybe silence the critics over there.
Like that way. I don't like going at a fan. I mean, he was acting like hey man, let's step out in the parking lot. Let's go. Like, no, I'm not doing that. But that definitely led to that. I didn't know that happened. Yeah. But he's a fiery guy, and I think he needs to have this conversation with himself. So because what happens is once, players start understanding who he is as a player now that he's gotten a year under his belt, his overly aggressive nature, they're going to use it against him. And I'm not talking about it in a bad way as far as getting him out of control and wanting to fight or anything like that. But that can lead to being overly aggressive now, really trying to get after somebody at the line of scrimmage. That means you can lead to missing. They could step back, do a lot of different things. And now he's in a world of hurt. So I think for me personally, I want my corners to be aggressive, but with controlled aggression. And that means patient aggression. There's certain types of corners that can play like that, and he's still young. So I would say he's probably not that guy. Just think about this now. How many corners do you know that are looking for a fight? Not a lot of them. There's always some.
Yeah.
I mean, we could always talk about the one,
Cortland Finnegan.
Right, Finnegan. Or
but he felt like Norman. A little bit more controlled aggression, except for with Andre Johnson. But.
Right. I mean, there was some history there, and then they played twice a year, so obviously, and then they're both from Florida, so there was some context to that. So I think we must not forget that. But yeah, I would have never done that. I would never be big. Like you're talking about somebody a lot bigger than you. I mean, 6'4" or whatever to 5'10".
Yeah.
Hey, but he was one of the, let's say, scrappy, dirtiest players in the league at that time, and it was because of how he built himself to be a player in the NFL, and people had to respect him. So he built that kind of respect. So yeah, I just think you got to be careful. You got to be careful about how you go about your business, because people are watching you on film, and I don't want my corners to be overly aggressive. Like, his first step is forward. Sometimes that's not the way to go. And that's what I'm talking about.
But you would rather him start out at least being aggressive, and then you can coach him to pull him back?
Well, yeah, but I don't think – I think that's who he is.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think he
So that's going to have to be like a self-reflection kind of thing.
Like, when he looked this offseason and watched film, every time that he made a mistake, I bet you it was because he was overly aggressive.
Yeah.
Every time. So
whether that's jumping a route
if I'm an offensive coordinator and I got a pretty good receiver – I'm targeting him. Because if I don't, I'm going to get pass interference.
Well,
who led the team in pass interference?
Well, him.
Or holding?
I think he almost led the team in penalties, by the way. Not just, yeah.
So until he fixes that, they're going to keep coming at him. And you got to stop that. See, that's what I'm getting at. So it's no different than, the Titans almost led the league in penalties in general. I'm not even talking about on defense. I'm just talking about in general. I don't know. You're probably bottom 5, So, yeah, I just think, this is what you need to do. Like, see, I think J.C. Latham did that. And I'm not talking about being overly aggressive. I think he self-reflected and says, what can I do to be a better player? He said, okay, if I lose weight, I'll keep my strength. I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to come out here and be a much more effective player for a longer period of time. And then I'm going to change how I eat throughout the season. He said all these things on there. See, he self-reflected. Every player needs to do that, or if not, you're going to be doomed, and you won't be the player that you need to be. You got to pay attention to the guys around you now, especially the vet guys, to see how they've been in this league a long time. It's not happenstance. It's not about every day in practice. I mean, we're going to watch when Diggs practice. We're going to see Diggs going to kind of disappear, right? But on game day, he sure is alive. You'd be like, dang, man, is he really a good player? If you're just watching as a fan. Then you get out there in the game because he understands what he needs to do and how to keep his body right.
Well, you talked about the aggressiveness and targeting him and all that kind of stuff. If you're an offensive coordinator,
he's going to get targeted anyway.
He's going to be targeted anyway because of where he's at. But when you look at he was targeted 81 times. He led the team last year. He's obviously he's an outside corner, so that's going to happen. But Darrell Baker Jr., the guy who played on the opposite side of him, got targeted 39 times.
Dang,
and you wonder if that's because of the aggressive nature, because, like you said, I just looked it up on NFL penalties.
I'm also say this: if he's the left corner, that's the right hand of the quarterback, and most quarterbacks are right-handed.
And you're probably going to target the rookie, right?
But you kind of lead you to throwing right a little bit, right-handed quarterback. It doesn't play all the way out sometimes like that, but I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. But, yeah, I just think he needs to be patient in his cover. I think he will be so much better.
Yeah.
Because he's got everything you need.
J.C. Latham led the team in 10 penalties. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. with 8. So there you go. You're talking about those two players that – now, there's not obviously penalties per snap, because if you look at NPF and Leroy Watson, they are tied at 7 behind them. But, 10 for Latham, 8 for Jarvis Brownlee Jr., and you talked about the approach of J.C. Latham. We haven't really heard a lot about the approach of Jarvis Brownlee Jr. We've heard that this year he has been able to focus on different craft of his game, because last year he was so worried about the playbook and doing that ground floor stuff correctly. But now he's focusing on other stuff. But let's see how that translates, because those 8 penalties, we're talking about 3 DPIs, defensive pass interference, 2 illegal contacts, 2 defensive holdings, a face mask, and illegal use of hands. So it's a wide variety, but all physical-natured plays, aggressive-natured plays, or penalties.
And here's why I say this. A coach said this to me when I got into the league, and I really thought about it, and it was in training camp my rookie year. He said, your biggest strength is going to be your biggest weakness. Don't let people take advantage of that.
Ooh, I like that.
In this game.
Yeah.
In this game. So I like, damn, what the heck is he talking about? I'm 23. What are you talking about, man? I'm being aggressive because that's what I need to be.
Yeah.
And I thought about it at night, and I'm like, man. So he's saying my strength can be my weakness, and I go, oh, okay. So he's talking about even in life that could be the same thing. So my overly aggressive nature could be my weakness if someone could take advantage of it. So I need to have a plan of attack, at least in sports. When I go out here, there are going to be times I need to be aggressive. There are going to be times I need to be patient. So I got to know when to pick my spots. And that's kind of how I took it at 23.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's all he needs to do is kind of take that in and then move forward. And he'll still be aggressive, but he won't be all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He's one of the players I'm most interested to watch progress this year and compared to last year. A lot of players like that because it's a very young team.
No doubt.
So there you go. When we come back, we'll continue talking about the Tampa Bay Titans joint practices as cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 104.5 The Zone.
Let's face it, buying a vehicle should be straightforward and stress-free, and that's exactly how Two Rivers Ford has been doing business for decades. This locally owned dealership has a non-commissioned sales team whose only focus is to find you the right vehicle at the right price without the pressure. So you'll actually have a fun car buying experience. Great prices, easy financing, and a non-commissioned sales team. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Stores. 615-737-1045 is the number. I was talking to Lucas as we were swapping out studios here at 104.5, and I said, so it sounds like to me the general vibe I'm getting from practice is that a lot of give and take. Both sides were winning. Both teams got their shots in on these drills and these 11-on-11s and all that kind of stuff.
Exact words.
Yeah, pretty much. And he said, to be honest, Buck always is a little more negative than everybody else, and he even walked away saying the same thing. So those are the vibes down there, and it sounds like Cam Ward was able to stack 2 good practice days. And that's what you kind of want to see. Now, obviously, he was a little bit more critical, and there were some off-target throws and interception. But when he got into the red zone, he had his best red zone period. I think he walked away with 2 touchdowns as well. So, in the end, kind of what you want to see. The like you alluded to, just wait for all these people complaining about energy and intensity. You said just you wait until this practice, and when the pads come on and you're playing against another team, and sure enough, a little bit of kerfuffle.
Yeah, juices get to flowing, man. Even Jackson gets excited.
Yeah.
Woo! So, yeah. I really want the play-by-play of the first play, though.
Yeah. The one to Hassan Reddick, the interception to Hassan Reddick.
He doesn't play for the Titans.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he is a pass rusher. And he threw him a pick first play. So I'm wondering if maybe he dropped in coverage.
Yeah,
and maybe there was a disguise there, or did he just kind of jump up at the line? Nobody's kind of given us like exactly what happened on that play. And let's just think now that would have been the start of a game,
right?
That'd been the first play, and that would have been pick 6.
Yeah.
So to really see the impact of that, and then see him come back and do that in an actual game. Granted, I thought he responded well based off what everybody's saying with the 2 picks or touchdowns, as you said, in the red zone. But in a live game, I love to see the body language, what the team took from it, and then could he help rise them up from that, even though it didn't bother him.
Right.
So those are the things that, you kind of practice and scrimmaging can only do so much. Even a preseason game can only do so much, but everything is, from everything we hear, everything was, I would say, even.
Yeah.
That's why I can't wait to hear what Greg says that's been down there, with Tampa Bay, and see what his thoughts were on what the Titans look like compared, I think, to Tampa Bay, who has probably a better roster.
Oh, yeah.
And naturally had success in a playoff contending team. So even though they're probably in probably a weak division, just like us.
And Brian, what did Brian Callahan say? He said he wanted to hear what people thought. And I know Greg Almond isn't a player or a coach,
right.
But an outsider's perspective, first look at your team, that's going to be a pretty good gauge of what most people feel. And I have to say that it felt like the Tampa Bay reporters kind of said that, like, they were very impressed with the offense, I think more so than what they thought it would be. And the Tennessee Titans beat writers were a little bit down. Some of them were on what the Titans offense looked like. So, it's just interesting, those 2 different perspectives, especially from someone who has never seen your team practice before.
Right.
So it will be very interesting to hear from Greg Almond.
Especially with the Titans being so bad last year, I think everybody just thinks they are going to be horrible. And
does he think they're good because you had low expectations?
Right. That's exactly.
Because let's be honest here, the clips I've seen of these these Titans wide receivers beating on these defensive backs, it was Calvin Ridley versus Roman Parody, the last on the depth chart, by the way, of all the cornerbacks. Roman Parody. That's not even the weirdest name. The Elikiah Manor clip where he breaks the guy's ankles. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he breaks the guy's ankles in one of his coming out of one of his outs. Yeah. Oh man, it was like both ankles broke.
Like somebody come get their guy.
I saw the one where you outside release and then came back in.
Yeah, that guy ended up with his butt on the ground. Like he was like,
oh no,
I don't know if you've seen that one.
Well,
the one that I'm talking about is from a guy named Tyrek Funderbunk. I'm going to
Be careful. Careful.
Funderburk. Sorry, Funderburk. He's from Appalachian State. So, like, everybody's like, oh, man, Ellick's going to be all this great. I'm like, guys, this is from a guy that is named Tyrick Funderburk.
He used to be a great player to play basketball, Funderburk for the IU Hoosiers. Funderburk.
Yeah, hey, I'm not Matt Murphy. I can control
about that. I bet he had never heard that guy.
I get the names right. But yeah, so like, I mean, I get being excited and everything, but I always check the numbers on these plays. Like, to me, what's the more impressive of the one-on-one reps was Matt Landers beating Jamil Dean, who's actually a starter. We're talking about a third or fourth string wide receiver beating pretty handedly their starting corner.
I was going to say him.
And Bryce Oliver versus Zion McCollum.
Yeah, with a combat catch.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
a starter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, I get getting excited for some highlights and stuff, but let's, like, calm down. Tyrick Funderburk and Roman Parody.
Yeah. Who did Restrepo had 2 completions? Who did he beat?
Okay, Restrepo beat I do know one of them.
But are they guys that play?
Restrepo beat the backup nickelback.
Oh, okay.
Christian Eisen. Izin.
But he's the backup last year, right?
Yeah, he was out of Rutgers.
Okay.
So he's a converted safety. He's been in the league for 3 years, converted safety to nickelback.
He's been in the league.
So he's been in the league, to your point. So and that was pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. And that was a really good rep. I'm not sure of the other ones. I forgot to check that because I know he had 2 good plays.
It was 40 something. I don't remember.
It was 40 something, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I think I did look that up at some point. But
I thought he still looked, considering, where he's at on our depth chart, hey, if he was guys who played in this league, just young players, not starters, I still feel like that's a win for him.
Yeah.
And, he looked. And
that's what you're looking for. Like, for Xavier Restrepo, win as an quote-unquote the 8th wide receiver on the unofficial depth chart, beating their backup nickelback, that's a win. Mm-hmm. Alec Ironman or Calvin Ridley, I mean, I'm not going to say they're not wins per se, but they're not as impressive wins because they did beat them single-handedly. But, like, that's kind of what you expect. Like, you expect Alec Ironman to put, this, what did I say his name was? Tyrick Funderburk.
Funderburk.
Yeah.
Funderburk.
And then Roman Parody, who is the very last cornerback, very last defensive back on the depth chart for Calvin Ridley. Just saying.
So this sounds like to me, man, some vet guys was like, I'm not going out there. And, they pick some guys, a buddy system.
Yeah. Jamil Dean and Zion McCollum getting beat by Matt Landers and Bryce Oliver, respectively. Yep. That's something you can be like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, Landers has looked good. He's consistent.
Yeah.
Him and Bryce Oliver are really battling. Bryce Oliver naturally plays special team. I don't know if Landers plays special teams or not, but they would be the leader in the campfires for me if you're talking about 7 and 8.
Yeah. And listen, a win's a win in my book.
Fit into that window right there.
A win's a win in my book. You can only practice against the people you're lined up against and all that kind of stuff in these drills. But it's more about the perception of the wins for me. It's like, touting all this stuff. Yeah. Like, that's a little bit different. Yeah.
What about your guy from Ohio State for Tampa Bay? Now, he was beating guys that I saw him beat Roger McCreary one time, but it was a close contested
play. He beat McCreary, Davian Ross, and someone else. Davian Ross, the undrafted free agent out of Memphis. But it's still Egbuka. Like, Egbuka apparently has been tearing it up all camp regardless anyway, before even the joint practices. So I'm not surprised by it. Like, I mean, that's he's good. Like, him beating Roger McCreary the way he did, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, he's there. He was first round, second round.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you expected to see that, but I wanted to see him against somebody good, which Roger McCreary is. So and he was right there, but it was a good throw, uncontested with no pressure and everything else. One thing, I don't know who threw some ball. It was to TJ Sheffield. It was underthrown ball, but this is how when a receiver can help the quarterback. And I'm going to use the example, and I love TJ Sheffield, but on this play, he needed to elevate and go get it. And I mean, because it was underthrown. So then he had to slow down, and then he was letting it just drop into the bucket. Well, the DBs now are so much better. That guy just turned around and just jumped up and picked it, and took it. Like, so he has to go get it. Same example of that play, Bryce Oliver went up and got the ball and said, this is mine. Now, he ran it out, but he went up to get it. It was thrown behind him as well.
Right.
So I thought that is the difference between, making a roster or being a practice squad player and development and kind of learning and growing throughout the process. Every throw is not going to be perfect. Now, and he had the guy beat, TJ Sheffield did, so if he would have threw it out there, he would have went and got it. Nobody would have been able to get it but him. So that's a realistic throw because the guy could have got hit on the throw, not in this situation, but the throws aren't going to be perfect. So that kind of tells you that when you're evaluating players where they need to get to, and I'm wondering if when they go down and sit down in individuals, are they saying these type of things to them so they can continue to just get better?
Yeah.
Restrepo was running good routes. He did the ultimate. I knew exactly what he was going to run, though, because you could see the lean in the head, and it's the ultimate that, college, route that you got, all right, he about to do a dig.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, we go back to these other kind of receivers that kind of remind me of Xavier Restrepo in a sense of these are guys that, are slot guys that kind of win these one-on-ones. Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips. Like Kyle Phillips, remember, he'd burn everybody in these one-on-ones, and then he wasn't ever available because of injury and all this kind of stuff. So, like, I'm not surprised Xavier Restrepo is a receiver that shines in these 1v1s, especially versus guys that don't see him every day.
Right.
And so I'm just, good for him. That is a good thing to build on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm just also kind of not surprised. So it's all about, again, it's about stacking days progress. Like you said, you could kind of see those college routes, the head fakes and the leans and all this kind of stuff. These tells, kind of like in poker, you can just kind of see the route that's forming. That's one of the things that he's going to have to work on if he wants to take that next step in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Let's take a break. Let's go to Luke, who wants to talk about Tavondre Sweat. Luke, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Sweat.
Yeah, guys, I just wanted to, I hadn't really heard a lot of talk lately on any of the shows about Sweat. Obviously we hear about Big Jeff and Sammy and stuff, but, like, what has Sweat been looking like? What are the expectations? And then just a couple of those later picks, like Marcus Harris, Jackson Slater, and Khalil Mullings. How are they looking? They're going to make the team, and just wanted to see what y'all thought. All right, love the show. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks. I think everybody he mentioned, Marcus Harris, Jackson Slater, and Khalil Mullins is going to make the team. I'm not even concerned about that in the slightest, making that projection about either of those three guys. They've looked like 6th and 7th round picks. I mean, Jackson Slater, I think, has looked really good in most of the things I've seen him do. And I think Marcus Harris has acquitted himself very well. Khalil Mullins he's a little bit more up and down because he doesn't have that burst of speed that you're like, that initial burst of speed. I think he's more of a ramp-up runner than anything else. But he's looked really good in pass blocking. He's looked really good catching the ball as a hands catcher. So I do wonder... I'm very interested to see how they handle Julius Chestnut and Khalil Mulling, because Chestnut has started stacking some good days in front of the crowd. Right? Like when you stack days, you stack days. It's hard. And so they may keep 4 running backs. I don't think that means that Khalil Mullins isn't making the team or anything. Right. I just think, okay, when you're playing the roster numbers and you're on those last few, maybe you're keeping 4 running backs.
Or they tried to... maneuver, and Chestnut doesn't have a lot of, great film out there, at least after this probably season. Unless he plays well in the preseason, then he'll be out there and he'll get picked up. And then they'll be forcing them to keep number 4. I think he asked about Sweat. Sweat didn't even practice today, did he?
Yeah, Sweat's been hurt for about the last week.
Like
he came
ab
out
strain or something.
Yesterday here, and then he went in. So I don't know what his status is. I know he was injured before that.
I think they're just probably taking it, being cautious with him for right now. You're correct in everything you said. When he was out there, he looked like Tavondre Sweat. I mean, he's a big guy. He pushes the pocket. I think the people that want him to be this defensive tackle kind of pass rusher that is getting sacks, which is very hard for a nose tackle, I guess, to do on a consistent basis. I think he's going to be more of a pocket pusher, space eater, allowing other people to make plays, which means he's making plays. It just may not always show up on the stat sheet. And I think that's who he's going to be. I think if Jeffrey Simmons gets to double-digit sacks, it's going to be in large part to whatever Tavondre Sweat is doing next to him.
Yeah. Or, even when he moves outside, if he does do that on occasion. I think Sweat actually, I know he hadn't practiced a little bit here the last 2 or 3 days, but before that, I thought he looked in better shape. And I'm not talking about just appearance. I'm talking about him running to the ball and then not getting tired consecutive plays in a row. And I think that's where you want to see the progression, see him do that this season. I think then the production will come for a guy of his ilk and his style of play. It's very valuable, doesn't get a lot of glory, but I think he's a disruptive player and at times can be just as disruptive as Jeffrey Simmons. I watched a couple of those games and I was really actually stunned that I saw that. This guy is super athletic. I think we got a taste of it when we saw him with an interception, him running. Most of these guys that are D tackles that grew into D tackle used to be like running back, fullback type guys. And so that's where you see the agility and the movability and quickness from these guys. So I want to see a little bit more of that. I'm not going to ask him to be something that he's not, but I do want to see him around the quarterback a little bit more, whether that turns into sacks. I at least got to see him having that he can get to the quarterback and put pressure on him because he has some quick moves that's got him back there at times, and he just kind of ran out of juice. It took everything to get back there. Then the guy just maneuvered out of the pocket, and he kind of slowed down and was out of it. So I'd like to see him a little bit more, make some progression there as a player. But, I like what I saw. I like when they picked him. I was surprised they picked him when you start doing the research on. I think he's a little bit more than the Vince Wilfork type players. Those guys didn't give you, to me, 10-yard sideline to sideline each way. They were nothing but that, and I don't think they equal any of the athleticism that this kid has.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a more athletic Vince Wilfork, that's a really good thing.
Player. Right.
Like, I mean, let's be honest here. We're talking about Vince Wilfork himself, 5 times Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, obviously a 2-time Super Bowl champion, played a long time in the league, and was pretty durable. And he's a guy that, had 16 sacks in his entire 13-year career.
Very, very good player. I mean, man, and he did his role. I mean, those nose guards don't get a lot of glory in those 3-4 schemes where you with, Casey Hampton with the Steelers, Vince Wilfork. Those guys, man, without them, there would be probably like no Ray Lewis to a certain extent. Like,
Tony Saragusa, right? Haloti Ngata.
Yeah, these guys, man, they taking 2 guys because it's hard to move a guy that big and that strong. I think he's right on track and is living up to what they expect out of him each and every year. So we want to expect a little bit more this year. So we'll see where we get to.
But you got to remember, he also saw, and it got released. I don't know if you saw it, but remember when we were talking about double teams with Jeffrey Simmons? And I was like, I think Tavondre Sweat got double teamed more than Simmons, but we didn't have that final data. And then guess what? We got the final data just like last week or a week and a half ago, and he got double teamed more than Jeffrey Simmons. And I'm just saying that's the nature of his position, too, right? He's going to, as a nose tackle, he's a space eater for a reason. He's going to get some double teams. But when I went back and watched the 170 plays from that had a pressure, according to Next Gen Stats last year, you saw it again. He is eating space, and he's creating these massive holes. The Tennessee Titans defense just didn't have the horses to take advantage of those holes. Tennessee Titans probably still don't have the horses to take advantage of these holes.
They're going to sign Jackson.
they need to. But he is doing what a guy of his ilk is to do. He is affecting. He's not. When I say that he's not getting the stats, he's not getting the sacks. He's getting tackles for losses. He's going to have his hurries and other kinds of pressures. But if he's creating the holes, that's almost as good as moving the pocket. Like, I mean, you're affecting the pocket. That's something that he did in college, something he's already started doing at the pros. And now he played a lot more snaps than people expected him to, his detractors. And he does look healthier. A lot of people say, he didn't look that much difference than last year. I think he did. When I went out there and saw him in person, I was like, yeah, that guy looks totally different than what he did. Now, he's not J.C. Latham, but he already had a different body composition and all that kind of stuff. You may not notice it if you weren't looking for it, but if you're comparing the Tavondre Sweat at Texas, the Tavondre Sweat you saw last year, this does look like a different Tavondre Sweat, and that's a good thing for the Tennessee Titans. Like I said, Jeffrey Simmons wants to get 10 sacks. A lot of it's going to be because he's eating double teams or he's creating holes for Jeffrey Simmons to run through or these other guys. Rushing together, the big thing, pass rushing together, a lot of that's going to rely on Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah, as well as Big Jeff, who was kind of, once again, unstoppable. And people need to stop this crap about he got dominated on this one play. I'm like,
it's a lot closer than what people think.
It wasn't
Let's talk about
he
that.
Dominated.
Let's talk about that play when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Jackson. Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not, people are really tired of that stuff. So if you had it with the unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. And Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready so you don't have to stand around and keep waiting all freaking day. And Eurofix repairs all European cars with a quality that beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. And that's because the dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead. And as you know, that's a lot of moolah money, by the way. So why would you want to pay for that? Well, at Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty on work performed, plus a rental car available with every repair appointment. So if you're not tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and that would be Eurofix. Family owned for over a quarter century. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always someplace, Jeff.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. You want to get in on the conversation? Of course, we have the F&M Bank chat on Zone TV, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. And Blaine, the first clip out of Titans practice this morning with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was this clip between Cody Mock, the right guard for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, heading into his third season with Tampa Bay, and Jeffrey Simmons, the new and improved look of Jeffrey Simmons. I still can't get over his transformation, by the way. Like, it is so noticeable, even in pads and everything. There's been a lot of debate. Did he lose? Did he win? I think it's almost close to even. I would say that he got a pressure, and maybe if this was in a game where there's 11 people on the field, he probably created an opportunity for someone else, even if he himself didn't get the sack. And then there are people who say, well, Cody Mock took on a bull rush, and then people say he got thrown to the ground and acted like after 5 seconds of battling being thrown to the ground, and then probably after the play is over, as some big indictment that Cody Mock dominated the rep. So I kind of stand in the middle of it, and maybe that's not exciting for everybody, because I think some reps, if you don't give up a sack, that's kind of a win. But if Jeffrey Simmons is able to create a hole or opportunity for someone else because it's one-on-ones, then it's kind of a win for Jeffrey Simmons in that instance. And even if it is, he's just creating a more condensed or muddy pocket in the scenario.
So you say it's a tie?
I'd say it's pretty close to a tie. My initial reaction was I think that Jeffrey Simmons won. That's my initial reaction. But I could see why, I'm not some major offensive line guru or anything, but I've seen a couple of people come out there and talk. I asked Ramon Foster. I've talked to Stoney. I talked to a few different people, and I think it was a pretty even. They both said it was Stoney even? Leans with me. It's pretty even. Ramon says that he said, let me pull it up real quick. He said Cody won that one. There's pressure, but Jeff didn't get him clean. Most guards will take that bull rush rep. So, that's why I kind of view it even, because I can kind of see what he's talking about. That would be like a draw to me if I was watching the Senior Bowl, more than likely. Like if that was a Senior Bowl rep between defensive line one-on-ones, I'd almost lean draw on that.
Well, that's why one-on-one didn't give you the whole perception.
Right.
First of all, I felt like Big Jeff bull rushed him and took him and put him on skates. Because
he never really reset his feet.
So the word domination can never come from any parts of the Tampa Bay side. That just he bull rushed you and skated you and took you back to the quarterback, and then the quarterback would have had to move. Now I don't know when the whistle blew. So then if the whistle blew, Jeff could have let up, and then the guy then tosses him. Now, in a real game, have you ever seen an offensive lineman toss a player like that? Because they can't. Because that's holding if you get to somebody and do that. And number two, if he was going to toss him like that, he would have threw him right into the quarterback, because he was already back in the backfield. So I feel like it was a win. Every aspect, 80% of it was a win by what's that? I think the takedown was just a product of when the whistle blew and when the guy, he went to path of least resistance. And it's easy to, if somebody's pushing you back, to then turn and do that.
Yeah.
So I don't see any parts of that.
Yeah, to me, the extracurricular thing does not.
Oh, I'm not.
Does
even
not even
that.
does not even factor in.
Actually,
and I think for everybody else,
I'm proud of Jeff actually on that play, because he kind of stood back for a minute there and was like, "Look, I wasn't trying to do that, but hey, man, you can't be sitting here trying to throw me after the whistle blew or after the play is over, and I'm already pretty much."
That's why I think he got up like that, not because he got embarrassed or anything. I think it's because the play was over.
Yeah, but and listen, trust me now, there's some ego there. Don't be trying to throw me down after the whistle blew now.
And we don't know what the context of what the quarterback was supposed to be doing in this. Like if that was a quick throw, Cody held him on long enough for a quick throw. But if it's a long developing throw, Jeffrey Simmons probably put the quarterback in conflict back there.
Well, I would say that it wasn't a quick throw, because he would have quick setted him as an offensive guard. He would have went to him quick. See, quick,
gotcha.
You got to get to him. So it wasn't a quick passing 3-step go. It wasn't a quick play game. That's the offense. Again, one-on-ones is kind of tough because they are at a disadvantage when it's one-on-ones against the D line. So I I still think that was a dominating rep. In a game, that would have been a dominating rep. And he would have called for holding once he threw him. You can't throw a guy like that. 300 pounds? You got to hold on to something. No way.
Is he still 300, right? I think so.
Whatever he
I think he is. I think he's still 303.
You can't throw another man unless you are holding them and throw them.
Yeah.
That was a toss like you wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
And Cody does that a lot. He did that a lot at the Senior Bowl when we were watching.
Right. Well, I'm talking about.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's illegal.
In a game, that is not, that you never see that happening. It's holding.
Yeah. I do lean that it's not. First off, I never agreed that it was a domination kind of deal. I mean, that was, and I don't think anybody that I've talked to that have seen the clip, other than maybe some fans and Tampa Bay
came from
guys.
The Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they came from Pewter Report, if I'm not mistaken.
They could say that.
But I do think when I look at it, I'm like, okay, it depends on what the play is, but that's why I'm kind of like a draw, because I do think, though, if Jeffrey Simmons is doing that to the right guard in that scenario and taking him to Jeff's right, his left, the right guard's left, then that's creating a big open space for someone else. But that's not the point of an 11 or a 1-on-1, I guess.
No, but he took him back to the quarterback. The quarterback had to move.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it would have created a different opportunity for someone else.
Well, I think that what did Tom Brady say? Where the most of pressure?
Up the middle.
Right. So that's what he just did. And now you can't see. He had to maneuver, and boom, the guy on the outside or from the other side would have got
the coach
sack.
that I guess was playing the quarterback, because I guess it was this guy in the red jumpsuit, had to get it out of the way.
He jumped out of the way, because he would have got thrown into and probably would have tore his knee up.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, man, that was a win rep all day long, man.
Yeah.
I can't see anywhere in a real game where that wasn't a win.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk more. We'll hear from Cam Ward about his day at practice, what he thought, some self-critiques. We'll also talk about that little 20-yard ball he threw into the middle of a fight. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We had a little Barton on Barton crime today as Graham Barton, the offensive lineman for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Cody Barton, inside linebacker with the Tennessee Titans.
Ravenwood's finest.
Yeah, Barton on Barton, Ravenwood, Graham Barton. Got into a little fight, and that escalated with a couple more offensive linemen joining in, then Jeffrey Simmons, and then all of a sudden it's a bench clearing. A brawl may be too much of a thing, and a lot of pushing and shoving.
If it was wrestling, it would have been a brawl.
It would have been like a rumble, I guess you would say.
It would have been a rumble?
A rumble, because you're just throwing people. This leads Cam Ward to launching a ball 20 yards in the air into a pile and all this kind of stuff.
So he was just trying to launch it just to try to get their attention?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But so this is from pewterreport.com. They actually interviewed Graham Barton after the fact. And here's kind of the story on this. Things got going when someone threw a late hit in the trenches in Tampa Bay's offensive line, particularly the interior guys like center Graham Barton, right guard Cody Mock, as well as right tackle Luke Gadecki, were right at the center of it with the Titans' defensive line and middle linebacker Cody Barton. The skirmish escalated to a full-on bench clear when running back Bucky Irving got thrown to the ground.
Oh, starting running around.
There was more pushing and shoving than any actual punches being thrown. A ball was launched into the pile up from the sideline by Tennessee quarterback Cam Ward. And Graham Barton revealed exactly what happened exclusively to Pewter Report's Scott Reynolds after practice. That was probably my first training camp fight, Graham Barton said. We ran a zone play earlier in the practice, trying to play hard and play through the whistle. Just kind of gave him a shove, Cody Barton. He didn't like it. Then he came downhill on a pass protection look when I was looking the other way and got me pretty good. You know, kind of in a weird way. I don't know if this makes me messed up, but you kind of like it. You like that. I get him, and then he gets me back. It's part of the business. I just didn't love the way he reacted afterwards. That's kind of what started the fight. We're all out here competing, but there's no room in the game for stuff like that, Barton said, but we're not going to take that as a team. So, just a little bit back and forth, a little bit of extracurriculars from Cody Barton, it sounds like, and the Tampa Bay was kind of defending their home turf on there. But it's competitive. It's kind of training camp, joint practices, kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like how he explained that. Like, oh, he got me, I got him.
Yeah.
But on another play, whether who got who first, he says he did something extra afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what Cody Barton did. Extra, like, he threw a punch?
Did he jaw? Or
No, something had to be.
They said Bucky Irving was thrown on the ground. Was that part of it? Maybe.
Maybe that could have been his frustration, like Brownlee did with the receiver.
Yeah. It could be. So Bucky Irving's just out there like, hey, why me?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
whoa.
Like, dude, we've been thudding up, and now you want to take me to the ground? And then, the offensive lineman going to be like, hey, man, you're trying to hurt our running back, our starting running back. I think he is a starter, right?
Yeah.
So, I think, So it gets a little testy. Yeah, that was cool. It's all good.
What you got, Jackson?
I love it.
Yeah. I think it's that. I kind of like it. I mean, it was expected, right? I mean, if you didn't have Jeffrey Simmons be involved in a training camp fight on your bingo card, what are we doing here? I mean, and I'm not saying it's a bad. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything, but and obviously this was Cody Barton initiated. Then Jeffrey Simmons came to the defense and the defensive line, and it was a little, kerfuffle, a little pushing and shoving, no punches thrown, but there was a punch thrown, according to someone in attendance
by the Titans, though.
But that is what they are.
Kind of what it seems as though.
JC Allen, who is the Bucs reporter and writer for Bucs Game Day, and he's also a member of the Pro Football Writers Association. He says that Titans wide receiver Elikiah Manor throws a punch at Buccaneers defensive back J.J. Roberts after he deflects a ball in close coverage.
Oh, this is a different play.
Different play.
Oh, okay.
But that is the only punch that I've heard has been thrown, that's the least on the record that has been thrown, which is also, please don't punch people with helmets on.
Oh,
I don't know if he was going for the head or if he punched him, in a different area. But like, come on. Like, I find that to be the most ridiculous thing is when guys are out there in these brawls just like punching and they're punching guys with their fists up against their helmets. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, man. I hope nobody threw a punch like at somebody's helmet.
Yeah.
Maybe they gave him
Especially not a receiver who needs his hands to catch the ball.
Uppercut, man. You got to do the uppercut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Io Manor has a background in hockey. So this is a guy that may pull your jersey over your head and start punching you if you're not careful.
Oh, that sounds like something Jackson would do right there, man.
I think so.
Stinker. Yeah.
I think so. Other than that, we talked about at the top of the show, and we've had a little bit of fun with it, but Cam Ward in red zone, his 3 attempts in red zone, 2 pass attempts, and one of them was a spike on there, but the 2 pass attempts were touchdowns. Chimere Dike also had another good day as well. But let's hear from the quarterback, the QB1 of the Tennessee Titans. And let's first start off with how Cam Ward, on how he felt joint practices with the Buccaneers went today.
Real good. This is one of the best defenses out there in the league. So, they gave us some good work. They stopped us a couple of times. We had some explosives on them. So, I think both groups today got better.
So both groups got better. I think that seems to be the case with everybody. We'll hear from Greg Allman of Fox Sports, who covers Tampa Bay Buccaneers, get his vibes on it, because he may have a totally different perspective as an outsider. But from at least the Titans side of things, from what we have heard, everybody got a little bit better. So that's what you're kind of looking for in these joint practices. I also want to hear from Cam Ward on how the communication with the offense has been, because that's been a big thing. So this is what Cam Ward had to say about that.
Oh, real better. We way better just in terminology, just in communicating with each other up front in the receiver room, them seeing what I see on the field. And I just think the more reps that we get, which we're getting now, the better it's going to become game time as we get into the season.
What I've kind of noticed about Cam Ward, and there's a lot of clips we could go through, is that it goes back to that it factor for me, is like every little piece we get a glimpse, every little answer throughout the whole thing, you get this sense of that guy just gets it. He is a quarterback. And that's not a knock on any of the quarterbacks Tennessee Titans have done. That's just my perception of Cam Ward himself in a vacuum.
Yeah, man, this guy has an old spirit to him. He's old school, and he is built mentally to be successful. Every time I hear him talk, I go, wow, how many dudes do you hear talk like that is in this era, the last 10 years of being drafted at any point in time? So, and then now to be the quarterback speaking like this, he's a guy all about that work. Man of a few words, but you understand exactly where he's coming from and what he's saying. So, yeah, man, I think that alone is going to lead him to being a successful quarterback. I mean, he's got tools, but there's more to it than just have tools, as we all know. So, and he's got the mental makeup. It's just a matter of how quickly can he get up to speed this season, and then where does that expectations go for us as fans and media? Let's just say that what if they beat Denver? By the way,
well, if they beat Denver.
By the way, Sean Payton is saying that they're a Super Bowl contending team. Did you see that?
Oh yeah. Well, I agree with them. I mean, like, I don't know if they have the offensive firepower to really be that guy that can go shot for shot with another team if their defense lets down. But that defense is a Super Bowl winning defense. We'll see about Bo Nix, but hey, I love that confidence.
Oh yeah, the defense definitely. What did they do since they're in the AFC West? What did they do against the Chiefs? They held them under 20, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did they? I don't know. Because that's really who they're at some point going to have to be competing with. They're in a division, but that's not to say. I think, did they split with them last year?
Okay, so the Denver Broncos in 2024 versus the Kansas City Chiefs, it was a loss for them in November 10th, but the score was 16-14. Mm-hmm. Okay, so but in favor of the Chiefs.
With a rookie quarterback.
And then they won the game at the very end, the regular season finale. They won 38-0. So they held them in 2 games to 16 points. So if you beat,
I don't know, but the Broncos going to be out without Cody Barton.
Yeah, but we got to remember, week 1 is a liar. But
it is.
Let me say something. You're talking about a team with a head coach that just called them Super Bowl contenders versus a team with a GM and president of football operations that laughed at the idea that this is a Super Bowl roster. So
they laughed?
Well, I think they laughed at the question.
Right.
Not necessarily the team, but the question. But
you said they laughed at the
Well, I meant the question. I mean, they laughed at the idea that anybody would ask that it's a Super Bowl roster. But if you beat a Super Bowl winning contending team, that is a launching point. Because right now,
where does that take you? The expectations are all going to change.
The confidence changes. Like, you give Cam Ward any kind of leeway. I feel like this is like, especially early in the season, it's going to be a train that's going to be hard to stop, at least for him as a competitor and a player.
Oh, man, I'd be talking about pump the brakes if they beat Denver. Like, hey, the first 2 weeks really kind of you got to wheel it back and then look at the first 4 games, like who is really real in all of this, because man, that first week there's always some like blowouts. You go, what?
Yeah.
You go, man.
Well, the Bengals lost their game last year opening to the Patriots? Is that right? Is that the game I'm thinking of?
It was somebody like that, and the Patriots only end up winning 3 or 4 games or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the Bengals lost to the Patriots 16-10.
So
and then we know which one was the better.
Because sometimes it's about game planning, and they come out and do something. Yeah, they do something you totally didn't expect, and then you're trying to adjust, and then they kind of go back to. And so it's kind of more strategic like that. That's why you see some of these upsets. Like a running team all of a sudden comes out there and they're just throwing it all over the place. Like, hey, man, we didn't see any of this last year.
And listen, there's not. I mean, we'll talk about this maybe in a later episode because as we're getting close to the regular season, but there's not a lot of regular season tape of Cam Ward in this offense, right? You got tape elsewhere, so you never know what that stuff does for a team. So that'll be very interesting. Let's go to Sean real quick, who wants to talk about Cam Ward. Sean, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, Blaine, Zach, love the show, always, listening. I just want to say something that you guys also mentioned. When Cam Ward speaking or talking or interviewing with someone, the only person that can remind me for a past decade that I'm following personally, Titans, I think it's King Henry, because the confidence in his word and, his dedication to work and hustling and coming to work every day and not like paying attention to surroundings, but like one vision and one mission every day. I just enjoy it. We all been in our 20s, but I don't think I was working that hard when I was in my 20s. I really appreciate you guys, paying attention to the small things. I'm glad that we have somebody that stands for a team in the state of Tennessee. I can't wait for the season to start and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Sean. I have to agree. I don't know if I was had that mentality at his age when I was in toys. I'm sure you did, but I'm not sure I did.
Well, I had no choice. But I think for him being the first pick of the draft, I think, this guy's a humble guy, and he comes from humble beginnings, and he's all about work. And, man, I appreciate that, man. He's a rare breed. That is for sure. Just look at him, regardless of what you think about Shedeur Sanders as a player, but how he goes about his business, and that's just kind of the new wave of generation. That's how they go about their business. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that his is. That's why I say he's kind of like an old school OG, man. That's exactly how. So I can relate to that. I know some people were like, "Hey, man, he got to give us more. He don't even say very much." Hey, I like everything he says because if you listen to him, he's all about that business.
Yep, all about the business. Okay,
Jackson.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll be joined by Greg Allman, who covers the NFL for Fox Sports. He's been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2013. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine Bishop here. And look, we talk all day about training, recovery, staying in shape, but no one wants to talk about what happens when things start to slip in the bedroom. The truth is, ED is more common than you think, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. So at Edge Peptide Therapy, they're helping men get real, for long-term solutions that don't just treat symptoms, they fix the problem. Their therapies are built around your body using science-backed peptides and hormone optimizing to restore blood flow and increase sensitivities and boost performance. And even if things are working, they can help you take your sex life to the next level. How about that, guys? So check them out at edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com. And always tell them Blaine sent you.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're joined by Greg Allman a little bit later in the show. He had something come up, but we are going to be joined by him around 2:45, so make sure that you're here for that because it's very important to hear.
But first, we must say this.
Oh.
Happy birthday to Coach Mack.
Oh,
and
that's right. It is Coach Mack's birthday.
So happy birthday to Coach Mack. I texted him earlier today, but I forgot at the beginning of the show to say that. So, yeah, Jackson, you're supposed to remind me, just like Berganzi.
Now you're going to sing Happy Birthday. Is that right, Jackson, for Coach Mack?
I am good on that.
Oh.
What happened?
He was in he does plays and stuff or did plays and stuff. He's got a beautiful specialty. I've heard that he's pretty good at karaoke. I'm just saying.
I mean, so what? We can't get a little one-liner?
No, I'm not. I
can't read your head.
What's going on? What are we talking about? Cam Ward at practice today. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, happy birthday to Coach Mack.
I'm gonna tell Coach Mack, man, you just dissed him.
Okay. Let's go through a couple more Cam Ward clips because we were kind of talking about his old school mentality, his ability to bounce back, to recognize adversity, to adapt, all this stuff that we have talked about over the last, few months since he's been an NFL draft prospect. But today he was specifically asked, how is his feel for what he can and can't get away with is coming along? Because as we have seen through this training camp, he's been testing the boundaries of what he can and can't do, like sidearm throws and all this kind of stuff. So let's hear from Cam Ward about how he feels that is coming along.
It's coming along fast. Then especially me with Coach Callahan one-on-one, him letting me know what I can get away with, then also what I can't get away with. And more of it's just the time you get away with it, whether it's third down, whether you're flush out the pocket, you have to make a play. I think that's the biggest adjustment that I'm focused on right now is just really trying to stay above the sticks.
Trying to stay above the sticks, trying to, progress quick enough. And I do feel that he is getting there and that all this stuff that we kind of talked about, the sidearm throws, the low throws and all this kind of stuff, they still show up. And they probably will still show up throughout his career. Kind of feels like one of those things that maybe is just always going to kind of linger. But what you want to do is just minimize the amount you actually see it. And the fact that he's kind of recognizing what that process, I think that self-awareness goes a long way.
Well, I don't think the sidearm throws has anything to do with your decision making.
No, I'm just saying.
I think he's going to do it whatever he thinks he can.
Right.
I mean, I really believe that. I don't think he's going to change that.
Gotcha.
So I don't know why. I don't think he's going to change. I think he's going to just find out when he can use it or how he can adjust to make it even better so he can make a play. Until he makes one that's catastrophic, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't do that at all," So I think they're trying to temperament his ability to force plays and take what the defense gives you. I think that's what he's really referring to.
Okay.
So it's okay to dink and dunk and dink and dunk because eventually the defense gets frustrated because you're moving the ball and just stay ahead of the chains. That means keep it manageable, and then at some point there is a time to unleash and let it fly. You have to wait for that opportunity. So I think he's trying to teach patience with, just be patient and whatever they give us, take it. And sometimes it's not what you want, even in a third down situation. But what's good is not turning the ball over or forcing an issue that then leads to them setting them up for, to make a play. So I think, that's the part he's learning. Because he's going to make mistakes, but let's don't give him the ones that they're, you see everything and then just take what they give. Don't try to force, a post route and they're playing a guy in the post, right? Don't throw that ball.
You talked about the dinking and the dunking and all that kind of stuff, and today's game plan kind of felt like it was built around that. He was asked about the game plan today and not taking a ton of shots downfield and how he felt that went.
I think as a whole, 1, 2s, and 3s, we stuck to that the whole day. Just taking what they give us, BA, Tim making plays when they're in, and then me just sticking to the game plan, trying to stay above the chains, not trying to do too much unless I have to, and then just put the ball in the receiver's hands, let them make plays.
Is it frustrating ever to not be able to take one, or you just kind of know?
It's not really frustrating because at the end of the day, it's going to happen. It's just about when it happens. You can't force it, you just got to let it come to you.
That's a pretty dang good answer. I mean, like, that goes with everything you were saying. That goes to a lot of stuff that Brian Callahan has kind of talked about over his tenure here, is like, we got to make sure that we just let the receivers make the plays. Those explosives will happen, but you have to take what the defense gives you. Something that he has echoed since last year, even with Will Levis, and Cam Ward is like, yeah, I mean, like, he's like, are you okay? He was asked, are you okay? Are you frustrated that you don't get to take a lot of deep shots? None of those plays will come later.
So now here's where the rubber meets the road when you're Cam Ward. Wonder if nobody is open. What happens?
You got to start throwing away. You got to go through that other situation, right? Like, that's the situations that got Will Levis in trouble.
Right. So you start forcing the issue because you feel like maybe this happens consecutively, or for a string of plays, nobody's open. What do? You just throw it away, or you try to scramble and get as much yards as you can. Maybe then a guy opens up later down the road. And so I think that is part of the growth, and at the same time, I think sometimes that's why he's making mistakes at practice. Nobody's open. I said that all last week.
Yeah.
Nobody was open. He threw 3 picks. Well, who was open? Well, one of them may have been his fault. Well, maybe one of them wasn't. Maybe that guy didn't sit down where he was supposed to. And then nobody was open.
Every interception has its own story.
Right. So he tried to force and make a play. Sometimes it's going to work, and then in the NFL, sometimes it's not.
Right.
So sometimes you got to just know to just throw it in the dirt and guess what, y'all won.
Well, I mean, look at the Bryce Oliver throw with Zion McCollum. It's a great throw, but how many times do you make that throw and it goes a pass breakup or it's an interception? Like, because it is on Zion McCollum. What if it's on, does that thing happen?
Well, you wouldn't have been as accurate in a live with people around your feet.
Right.
It was, nobody's rushing you on one-on-ones.
So that's to your point. It's, they're called 50-50 balls for a reason. Let's hear from Cam Ward on about any learning moments maybe from this first joint practice with Tampa Bay.
I would say just not necessarily the windows, but you have to throw guys open in certain route concepts if it's not the perfect look. But the receivers did a hell of a job today, from starters to backups. Those boys that came out here in this weather and they competed. They had a good one-on-ones. They carried it to 7-on-7 in team, so I'm proud of the receivers and how they helped us.
I mean, he just says all the right stuff, and I know I know winning a press conference doesn't mean much, but that gives you such insight into how he thinks. He mentioned it twice in the previous clips that we played, but staying above the sticks, staying ahead of the chains. Again, something that Brian Callahan has preached dating back to last year, and he's talking about, hey, one of the things that learning moments is on certain route concepts, I'm going to have to throw guys open. I'm going to have to throw to a spot. And that's something that you have to learn from a college quarterback to the pros. It's just everything he says. I don't know. I saw you start smirking during the, kind of getting a little
he gave
hype.
me chill bumps when he said that.
I know.
It was because he went detailed in saying there are route concepts. Sometimes I'm going to have to throw them, meaning the guy is not open, but I got to put it in a spot only he can get it. Only he can get it. If not, it's an incomplete ball.
Yeah. That feels like such advanced level thinking.
Right, for a rookie quarterback who hadn't played in any preseason or regular season game, man, that he gets it.
But also,
he gets it. Now that way he got to go out there and do it, but it starts there.
Yeah. And also the fact that he recognizes that it's certain route concepts, because that also goes into your decision-making process as well, is how fast are you making that decision to recognize, okay, this route concept, I'm going to have to do that, and if it's not open, I got to find somewhere else.
That thought process already happens before the play is snapped. It's not when the play is going on.
Gotcha.
He already knows they're running this coverage. We run this route combination. That's not going to work. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have to put it right here. That's already in his head pre-snap. And that's why you make quick decisions. Boom. See, and that's where the quick thought process, the quick thinker guys always have an advantage. Brock Purdy is that guy.
Yeah.
That's why I said I wonder how you test guys for that more so than their arm talent. Because the NFL is about how quickly can you think on your feet.
Yeah.
Like that. And boy, that's high level.
But I could tell you were getting a little bit of goosebumps.
I said, dang, my arm got chill bumps. Dang. Yeah, I thought it was Bert making me scared, man, of his grizzly beard.
Now, the Titans did have some struggles in 1v1 today. A couple of reports, a lot of give and take. I mean, that's bound to happen. Not a big deal. But here's what Cam Ward had to say about those struggles in 1v1s.
Oh, yeah, we had a couple balls on the ground. By myself, I had a bad ball where the receiver wasn't able to catch it all the way, where the DB made a good play. But both sides, we were competing all day. And just from a physicality standpoint, that's where we want to be. I think the receivers really brought that today.
I mean, he recognizes that he made the mistake. He threw it too low again. It's the detail I think we're getting with the answers, whereas like, hey, I threw a couple bad balls and then, we got to make a little bit more plays. I got to do better, coach better, play better. It's those little details that he kind of gives, the little nuggets that he gives that makes me feel like he's just on a different level.
Yeah, I think he's at a comfort zone in who he is and what he can be capable of. And he can admit when he's wrong and making a mistake. I think it's just general conversation. Mm-hmm. This is like him just talking to one of the coaches. Man, I should have threw a better ball here. I should have thrown the ball here. That's how he's talking to us. So, I love it, though, man, because we're going to get some real breakdowns of what actually happens when he does make a mistake and when he makes a good pass. If somebody asks him, somewhat of a question that he has to go a little bit into detail. I think he's going to tell us.
It's kind of like Brian Callahan.
Kind of like Callahan.
Because Callahan gives us details that we don't get anywhere.
Throw, and but I got him back on this other throw right here, though.
Yeah.
So, I learned.
Yeah, he learned. That goes a long way. Let's wrap things up here with Cam Ward and what he thought after throwing the early interception in team drills.
He just got to respond. I tried to throw it around him. I didn't throw it far enough inside for Chia to get it. And then you got to be able to respond. Hold up the guys. And you say, next play, I'm going to have a pick in a real game. Nobody trips. It's all about how you respond for the next drive. You just got to keep playing football.
Just got to keep playing football. I mean, just cool, calm, collected. He understands that, what he did wrong on that interception, which is always good to hear. But he also understands, hey, I got to keep these guys up. It's going to happen in a game at some point. I'm going to keep these guys up. We got to stay up and ready because that was a big thing last year. It felt like after an interception or a fumble or a failed third down conversion, this team just couldn't rise above it. And we heard Peter Skoronski talked about, Nick Vannett talked about it throughout the season, that they just felt like sometimes a play would happen and it just fell over and they couldn't overcome it. And that's what kind of Cam Ward can bring to this team, hopefully.
Oh, and we'll see how quickly that happens, especially going against some good opponents.
I'm sure you can get some PTSD if you see him throw an interception and you're like Peter Skoronski or something, because of last year. You know what I'm saying? Like you may get like flashbacks if that happened in a real game first play.
Well, I think you got to build up some equity first and then new quarterback. So you try to say, okay, everything's fair shot. They're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss a block. And then you just want to see how deep that goes into the season. And then, you got to see how you respond as a team. And nothing's individual. Naturally, the quarterback has the ball all the time. So he can change factors. But how quickly will the anxiety to force something that you can do it on your own is what quarterbacks all have to fight. And that fight, sometimes they lose.
Yeah.
Even the great ones.
Well, I'll tell you. Good stuff from Cam Ward today. I love every time he speaks. It just gives me this renewed energy. So I'm sure that's how the players feel when they're in the locker room.
And the fans should feel renewed excitement.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
We'll see.
It was against the Todd Bowles defense. And to be fair, Todd Bowles did say today, he said the Titans defense threw some looks at them they weren't expecting. And he gave some props to the Titans defense. So a little nugget there as we go to break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Greg Almond of Fox Sports, who's been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 13 years. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee that take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, that's right. If you want more information, you must go to their website, and that's TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to be joined by Greg Almond of Fox Sports, who been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2013. And Greg, thank you for joining us today. I know it was a hot one down there, and it's you had a very intense practice today between the Buccaneers and the Tennessee Titans, but kind of lay down basically what has training camp looked like for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as far as like flow and energy heading into this camp. Like, where did you need to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers show improvement, kind of setting the table for today's training camp?
Yeah, I think it's kind of been a mixed bag. Bucs have a huge part of last year's team back. They're kind of the presumptive favorites in the NFC South. So there's a confidence with that. in terms of not only being able to win the South again, would be a fifth year in a row, but also trying to do some damage in the playoffs. Obviously, they've had one playoff win since their Super Bowl 5 years ago, and they want more than that. So I do think there's that sense of, not even really being able to gauge success until January and that kind of thing. There's also been uncertainty just because Tristan Wirfs had knee surgery over the summer. Chris Godwin still hasn't returned from his broken ankle that ended his season like halfway through last year. So there's two, major pieces offensively that haven't practiced yet and might not be there in the opener. The big question is whether they'll start the year on the PUP list, which means they're missing 4 games, or whether they could get before that. So I like that. A lot of in terms of confidence, in terms of excitement, in terms of optimism, that's all there. I mean, the offense, I think, will be really good again. They were a top 5 offense last year. Defense should be improved. I think should be a lot better in terms of turnovers and takeaways. They've won the division 4 years in a row, but they haven't always been like the presumptive favorite. I mean, I think most people liked Atlanta more than them last year. There's other teams that have kind of been the favorite, and then the Bucs usually like being kind of slighted and neglected and overlooked. And this is a year where they kind of have to handle being the favorite and being everyone's presumptive pick. It's kind of like if you're not picking the Bucs, it's seen as an upset or something. So they have to be able to handle that and the pressure that comes with that.
So going into the joint practices with the Tennessee Titans, what were you kind of looking for and watching for from the Buccaneers team to try to gain insight into where they are at, and were the Tennessee Titans kind of a worthy opponent in that regard?
Oh, yeah. I mean, joint practices, it's not like you need every position to be some colossal showdown. I mean, I definitely was intrigued to see Jeffrey Simmons. Obviously he's a huge test for the Bucs, fairly young interior offensive line. Would have liked to see Devondre Sweat, and he's not practicing, so that wasn't there. Cam Ward is such a draw. I mean, to be able to watch a number 1 overall pick, I think people, all over are going to be watching him Saturday night. So that's always intriguing. So it doesn't have to be stars at every position for you to be excited. This is one of those where they've been in camp. This is like practice 12, I think. And they get so tired of going up against the same people who know your tendencies and generally know what's coming at them at. So this is to have the novelty of going up against someone you don't know and someone you didn't see yesterday, is something they really welcome. And sometimes I think they enjoy this more than even the preseason games.
We're talking to Greg Allman, who covers the NFL for Fox Sports and been covering the Bucs since 2013.
Well, Greg, thanks for coming on, man. This is Blaine. How did you think Todd Bowles and his staff approach the joint practices? Were they kind of looking more were they doing scheme versus their scheme, or was it more just to try to evaluate players? What do you think his approach was?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have ground rules, in terms of this is what we're going to do. I think they're scripted to the extent of we'd like you to be in a lot of 3 receiver in this period, or with this should be a run fit period. So I think you want to know what the other team is trying to do. At the same time, you don't know what routes they're running. You don't know what plays they're calling. I think you're trying to make it a productive practice for both sides, without necessarily showing things up. I think in talking before practice there, I think Callahan made a good point in that, like Denard Wilson is a guy who's coached with Todd Bowles, has a fairly aggressive mindset defensively. So that kind of has given them a sense of what they should expect in this practice, in this game. This is a return. I think the Bucs practiced in Nashville like 21, I think. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of the return. Usually there's a reciprocation where it's like, hey, we'll go to you, you come to us this year, that kind of thing. It's a reciprocation of something they had with a whole different staff, different GM, different head coach. But no, I think the staff always know each other pretty well. There's lots of hugs and everything beforehand. John Gruden was here talking to Bill Callahan. That's the 2 coaches from the Bucs Super Bowl, which is 23 years ago. I think they know each other well. I think you try and do things that help you while helping the opponent out as well.
How did you'd say overall? I know you didn't see every player and every play, but across the fields. But how did the talent level look to you from the Titans' perspective compared to the Bucs? Let's say.
Yeah, it's like the Bucs are, I think, a tremendously talented offensive team in terms of having just big name players in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, their first round pick, Emeka Egbuka. So from a star perspective, the Titans don't have that. I think people know Calvin Ridley. I think they know Tony Pollard. But like the rookies showed up today. I thought to see Restrepo and to see even Chim Dike from Florida look good at times. There's guys that, they have a ton of young guys around, they could have 3 rookie receivers make the team. So it was neat to see their rookies. You didn't know how well they would pop out. Secondary, I think defensively they have some new additions. That's good to see. You're looking at the roster and you forget some of the big additions they made in free agency and stuff. So, it's a team that there are other teams that better. The Titans are a team they don't see, but every 4 years they're not familiar so much. But it's a team, again, it's always intriguing to see this. There was a decent amount of plays where, you don't always get when you're looking at like 101 drills, it's not always starter on starter. I always feel it's a little bit like rolling the slot machine, and sometimes it's starter versus number 3, and it's, backup DB against star receiver. And so it's rare you get that one-on-one good-on-good feel, but this practice had a lot of good matchups like that. I was impressed.
Well, naturally, we want to ask you about Cam Ward and how he looked in his performance, pretty much to kind of give us kind of your grade with him. And was there a point in time where you saw, now I see the potential number 1 pick on a throw or something, or was there any moment like that or not?
He looked good. It's like the first time I saw him was a 7-on-7 period. Found a lot of guys open. It's one of those where it's just linebackers and DBs on the field, but seemed to find the seams. The Bucs are a team that's really trying to work on getting the middle of the field covered better, and had like 3 straight throws where it just found guys open in the seams and hit them and got catches. It's like 11-on-11. Had a play where he maybe didn't see an outside backer dropping back in coverage, and Hassan Reddick picked off a pass. Maybe 11-11 wasn't as good. You definitely see the strength of his arm. If anything, it's one of those where on shorter throws, on the screens, on the intermediate passes, he has to, actually take something off what he's throwing, just because he puts a lot on a pass. So you have to kind of find that touch on the shorter patterns. There's a couple passes that were incomplete, and maybe part of it was having almost too much on it. It's just a really strong arm. Sharp kid. To talk to him after practice, really liked what he had to say, how much he's learned, how much, everything is new for him. So first joint practice and then first Saturday. I don't know how much the starters are going to play, but I like that Tennessee is a team. That they're going to play most of their starters. He said a few veterans, they're throwing everybody out there, which is smart if you have a team that's trying to find each other, that has a lot of new additions. The Bucs are kind of at the opposite extreme, where I don't think they're going to play a lot of starters. So now not only does Tennessee have its starters going Saturday night, they get to do it against mostly backups. So that should be a source of confidence that should help them play better, if you will. It's not necessarily a level playing field, but that's a choice that the Bucs are making.
I guess lastly for me, how did the offensive line look against that vaunted defensive line of Tampa Bay?
Look good. I honestly didn't see that much of run fits in terms of how that held up. There was, you guys might have heard about this, there was a decent tussle that went back and forth. It's like the first thing that was a little chippy was one-on-one drills, and Cody Mauch is a starting guard for the Bucs, and he and Simmons had a one-on-one drill, and he kind of threw Simmons to the ground. And then Simmons came up swinging, and there was some chippiness from that. And then later in the drills, in 11-on-11, there was more chippiness, and actually like a bench-clearing brawl kind of thing, where I think the Bucs center got thrown down. I think Cam Ward was throwing a football, like a grenade he said he was just trying to aim for the guys in the red jerseys. So it was fun that way. It's like, even I think Tristan Ward is on crutches, and he's trying to get in the middle of the fight while he's on a crutch. So there was some hostility. It's one of those where, I think no matter how bad things get in practice, normally it's still your teammate that you're going up against. So you stop at a certain point in terms of how angry you are, how much you want to hit someone. They didn't have that today. So there was some, there was a little bit of venting, a little bit of, I'm going to let off some steam. I can probably get away with a little bit more than you do Saturday night.
What did that fan say to Bronley?
I don't know, but to see how pissed he was, I wasn't happy to see it, because it's one of those where there's a lot of things that should be off limits, and you're just an idiot fan at practice, and Lord knows what they say sometimes. So I saw that, and my first thought was, just what the heck did he say? Because I think for the most part, players are able to ignore the riffraff and the nonsense from the stands, but then they can say stuff sometimes that's really personal. We saw this in baseball 2 months ago, where again, if you say the wrong thing, you're really going to hit somebody personally. So I don't know, and hopefully it wasn't anything too bad, but I didn't like to see that. That was kind of a low mark, if you will.
Greg, just real quick to wrap all this up. Brian Callahan, on yesterday's press conference here in Nashville, he talked about how he hopes that one of the big takeaways from this joint practice is that when the Tennessee Titans walk away from a practice, the opponents, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this case, think they brought it. They played with intensity. They played hard and all this kind of stuff. Do you get the sense that the Tennessee Titans are going to walk away with a little bit more respect than what they had going in?
I think so. I mean, I think they had a respect for Tennessee beforehand, but no, I mean, they were definitely, I mean, there were starting corners for the Bucs getting beat by Landers, backup players that I don't even know if are on to make the cut, that were making plays. And that went both ways to some extent. But no, I was impressed. Again, it's like you find yourself, how often you check in the roster and say, oh, who is that guy? Who is that guy? I didn't realize that guy was there. And I did that a lot today in terms of trying to see who that was that made a play against somebody you didn't expect them to.
Awesome. All right, Greg, we really appreciate you jumping on and covering and giving us the update from the Tampa Bay perspective of the joint practices.
No problem. You guys take care. Thanks for having me, Greg.
It's Greg Almond. He covers the NFL for Fox Sports. He's been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2013. Great insight from Greg, and look forward to seeing what preseason game holds for the Tennessee Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3HL's up next has been covered too with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
in between time.
Peace.